This is Scratch Your Own Itch, the one show that delivers the conversations that we're afraid to share, but need to. This show is all about creating a life worth living. I'm Logan Tyler Nelson, and I'm your host. So, you're going to hear conversations with creators and entrepreneurs talk about what they do, their current and past traumas, how they became who they are, and what they are truly curious about. This is the show where we talk about the things we think about a lot, but need to talk about more. Please take note that this show is not a substitute for actually creating a life worth living, because this show will stir your beliefs, make you question what it means to create a life worth living. So my promise to you is to always give you one question to answer for yourself today to start turning your dreams into a reality. Hello, ladies and gents. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast, because I know you can be doing so many other things like watching Netflix, listening to all this great music, listening to other audiobooks, but you came here for a reason, and I want you to take a second real quick. Just put your hand on your heart, breathe in, and breathe out, knowing that everything always works out, no matter what, right? And if you're going through a rough time, I want you to know that this is the best part of your life in a weird, awkward way. When you're at rock bottom, that means the only place is up. And you've probably heard that before, but I want you to really take that in. Anyways, I want to get right to it because I have an amazing guest on. Her name is Cherie Oakley, and she's a country hit artist, and she's Reba McEntire's main girl. I mean, she is on the #1 spot for Billboard Country Charts. In just 2 to 3 short sentences, she just released a song called Workin'. It's her newest song, and it is out there, and I've been listening to it, and it's very catchy. I mean, if this doesn't blow your mind, she's been on American Music Awards, the CMA Awards, Ellen, The Today Show, BBC Breakfast, Live with Regis and Kelly, The Late Night Show with David Letterman, the one and only David Letterman, The X Factor UK, The Voice, Having It with Christina Aguilera, Turner Chair. She's just been everywhere. So I feel very nervous and scared about this interview, to be honest, because she's just that amazing already. But I want you to give a huge warm welcome to the one and only Cherie.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I feel very blessed and grateful for having this conversation. But I want to do less talking and you do more talking. So
Okay.
I would love for you to just give us a little story from your life that you think has kind of an underlying valuable message behind it.
Yeah. So typically when I talk about the song that I wrote that went #1 that Reba cut called "Turn on the Radio," I leave out some details to make it a little bit shorter, but I think it's important to include some of those details right now. So basically, I had a deal as a recording solo artist at the time, and that started to go awry. And I felt like all of my dreams and hopes and everything were beginning to crumble. But I had written this song for me, actually, me and my co-writers, and I was so excited about it. And I just knew that this song was special. I knew it was. But then everything was falling apart, and so then to cut it short, Reba McEntire heard the song, called personally, asked for the song, and before I knew it, I was on a phone call with her where she was asking me for the song. Because the artist deal that I had was in conjunction with who I was employed by. My husband and I were both employed by this particular person. I knew that if I gave the song away, I was probably going to lose everything. My chance at being a solo artist, I was going to lose my job. My husband would lose his job. We'd lose it all. So I prayed about it all night long. And when Reba called, I gave her 2 stipulations, and she agreed to those stipulations, and I gave her the song. And then pretty much immediately I was fired. My husband was fired. And of course, any chance that I thought I had at being an artist was also gone. But there's a flip side. Reba called and asked me to do the background vocals on the song. And the song was released almost immediately and went number 1. And we were collecting unemployment when the song went number 1 because we had not found a job yet. So I say this to encourage people. Does it normally happen like that? No, not at all. In fact, it never happens like that. But I say this to say, don't give up. You have no idea how something is going to happen. I had a song go number 1. I was singing on a number 1 song all over the radio. I remember shopping in Target and hearing my voice on this song. And best of all, it got to be with a woman that was one of the biggest inspirations of my life. That song has continued to open doors for me. It's continued to give me validation in this town. Now that I have a chance at being a solo artist again, it's given me that foundation. And so don't give up. Hang on. I know from experience what it feels like to feel like everything is crumbling and the rug is being pulled out from under you and you're taking a risk and you might lose, but hang on because what looks like you're losing now might be what you're gaining later.
Wow. Oh my God. That is, geez, that's like, I got tingles going up my back because you're so right on that. And it just speaks volumes of truth. What do you think, though? I mean, is sort of, because you're in the industry of entertainment, what do you think is the most valuable piece of information that we should know that's within your area of expertise / industry?
You know, I think it's having something a bit higher than yourself, a bit bigger than who you are. You know, I'm a very spiritual person, and I don't expect everyone to be, but I do think it's recognizing that there are so many things that are beyond our control in this industry. We can work really, really hard. We can have great music, but do you have sort of the stars aligned? Do you have, is it fate? Is it what you're supposed to do? And I think when you know deep down that it's absolutely 100% without a doubt, you are supposed to be in music. No one can take that away from you. No pitfalls of this industry, no negativity, nothing that happens can ever take that away. And that's what I think winds up, no matter what, coming into fruition. So just keep going, don't let anything stand in your way.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. I'm curious, what's your favorite movie from your area of expertise? So it's something that inspired you, because I think in movies can be so inspirational for a lot of artists that go out there. Is there anything in particular?
I mean, I grew up loving movie musicals. So for me, I loved, movies like Oklahoma. I loved Gypsy. I loved The Wizard of Oz. I loved all kinds of things. Annie was a huge one for me when I was a child because I wanted to be Annie. And then I did several productions of Annie. But I think what I loved about watching a lot of movie musicals is that they helped me connect to the artists behind them, because back when they did a lot of movie musicals, when that I watched, they were, probably in the 50s, 60s, things like that. But it introduced me to amazing artists like Judy Garland and Barbra Streisand and Gene Kelly. And then that sort of led me to, more modern artists of my own time. So one thing kind of led to another. So I think a movie that had a huge impact on me as a child was The Wizard of Oz.
Awesome. Oh, gosh. I feel so weird because I've never seen the whole thing of Wizard of Oz.
What? You are missing out.
I know. I've only seen like snippets, and there's so many references.
And then when you watch it, like when you grow up, then you get like the humor behind it that you didn't get when you were a kid. Like it went right over your head. But there's There's some really, really funny, sarcastic stuff. Like it's a really great movie. It's so well written, and it's totally different when you see it as you're, older. So you've got to sit and watch it, the whole thing.
I'm sorry, I feel so bad. Maybe they'll do a remake and you can be casted.
Right? I know. I would love it. Are you kidding? That'd be dream come true.
That's Hollywood's trend, is to do remakes that they're guaranteed some money, so that could be a possibility.
That could be a possibility.
So I'm curious, because you seem like a person that's like, there's things that are just working for you all the time, and you seem very uplifting and cheery and stuff, and this is sort of like a vulnerable question that I do like to ask people. So if you'd walk with me, please, to just share a time when the last time it was that you cried, and what was kind of the reason behind that.
Oh my goodness. Well, I am a crier. I cry a lot because I feel like it's such a healthy way to get frustration, anger, you're sick of whatever out, just have a good cry. And it's like, man, does that make me feel better? So it was recently, it was a situation, I guess it was the day before yesterday, where just frustrated with music. Not music, but the industry part of it, because I have yet to get frustrated with music itself or performing or writing. Those things remain beautiful and fun and enjoyable and an escape for me. But the industry part of it can be really frustrating. And what did it was I went to see a friend of mine do a showcase, and she's an amazing singer, an amazing songwriter. She's really young, and I really believe in her. And I walked around the room, and I heard some record label execs talking. And of course, I eavesdropped just a little bit. And I heard them say, well, women are just such a risk. They're just such a risk. And the other man agreed and said, yeah, I know. I mean, really, is it even worth the risk to even sign a woman? I mean, and that cut me so deep. I feel like, I grew up listening to so many women in country music, so many, and there's hardly any now. And yeah, we've got Maren Morris dominating the charts. Okay, well, why don't we have 10 Maren Morrises dominating the charts? We have one, and then we still have Carrie. But you see what I mean? I can mention like 2 or 3. I can't mention 5 or 10 or 15 women that are doing well in country music, because there aren't. And the single that I have out now, Work It, I'm a really positive person, and I believe that there are ways to shine a light on a negative thing in a positive way, and that's really what inspired Work It. But when I hear execs like that from record labels saying that, and I realize that there could be 10 or 15 slots to sign a man at a record label, but 2 for a female, what chance does a woman really have to succeed when people like that are the ones that give the opportunities to women, and men are not giving them to women at all? And yeah, I cried hard because I want to do anything and everything I can to try to shed a light on this in a positive way. And I think it has to be more than just writing songs that are encouraging to women. I think we need to shine a light on what's actually going on. And if the record labels are not signing, then how do you expect them to get played on the radio? And how do you expect them to have a chance? So it starts with the record labels. And I'm more than happy and thrilled that you asked me this question, because I'm more than happy to just flat out call them out right here, right now. You're the reason.
Oh my gosh, this is hitting home with me so much, because I think that's the biggest question anybody that does art at all has to ask themselves is, what do you really want to say? And I feel like you really honed in on that exactly. It's like, I want to stand up for those that feel as if they have no power. And that's oftentimes, unfortunately, women. And you're standing up for so many people. And I think that's sort of a little not to over talk, because I'd rather you talk more, but yeah, really, honestly, I think knowing the bigger reason of why we're doing what we're doing is the main driver of it all. It's funny because there's an interview with Tiger Woods that I was listening to where they're like, oh, you know, what really drives you? And he's like, I just really love winning. So that's his big thing. And then, you know, to ask you, like, what really drives you? You just really like seeing women win, and specifically, you know? So I really love that.
I want to make a difference, you know, and in what area? It could be a different area, you know, 10 years from now. I hope that we're not having the same conversation, because I hope this has been remedied by then. But yeah, for me, I want my music to inspire. I want it to invoke thinking and questions and conversations. And if there's anything I can do to inspire change in a positive way, that's what I want to do. I want to make a difference.
I love that. I love that so much. Oh my gosh. So it's this podcast is called Scratching Your Own Itch, and it is a mental health awareness podcast as well as more of a business podcast. Is there anything that you'd like to share that may be sort of a healthy question that someone could ask themselves? Because I really do fear that people listen to self-help podcasts or self-help books or read them, and they just kind of use it as like self-help jargon, and it doesn't actually transform or change anything in their life. So maybe what's a question that you'd like someone to ask themselves to help them?
Yeah, I think the first question that comes to mind is maybe just give it one more day. You know, why not give it one more day? So if you could ask yourself a question, whatever you're going through, just ask yourself the question of, should I give it one more day? Should I give it one more day? So much can change in 24 hours. Your perspective, the way you feel, the way you think about things, life, circumstances. So many things can change in a day. And I think if you can, you know, tell yourself that or ask yourself that question, maybe you have to ask it over and over and over again. And maybe it's not all solved by the very next day, but ask yourself that again. Because I am a firm believer that if you hang on and you wait it out, good things will come. You know, this too shall pass is something that I live by.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love it. This too shall pass. Oh, I love that. Yeah, specifically, what's a social media channel that you're most active on so listeners can find more of you?
Well, I like to be really active on any of my social media channels if anybody ever messages me. So you can do that on my Facebook page, which is Cherie Oakley Music. If you message me, I will get back to you pretty quickly, usually within a few hours. It might be 24 hours max, but it's usually much less than that. Also, if you send me a message or, you know, a comment or anything on my Instagram, those are probably the two that I'm most frequent. I am active on Twitter and things like that, but I probably frequent Facebook and Instagram the most. And on Instagram, I am probably Cherie Oakley. So feel free to message me or comment. I love interacting with people. I love feeling like I'm making a connection and developing a relationship with people. So that's really important to me.
Oh my God, that is so cool. Because that's the thing, like, I know actually for a fact is when we're like down and in the dumps and we're feeling, I hate to use the word depressed because there's such a stigma around it, but when we're like feeling depressed, I feel like that's the worst time to try to reach out and help somebody. But when you do it on your own terms, like when you're feeling down and depressed and you reach out to somebody that just kind of changed your day, inspired you, put a smile on your face, you know, one of the, I think, I don't like to use the word hack, but I'm going to use the word hack to feeling better is either listening to some good music, and you've got some amazing music out there.
Oh, thank you.
You're so welcome. And then also reaching out to somebody that inspired you like yourself. So if anyone's listening to this and they do want to reach out to Cherie, like, please don't wait. Just try it out. I mean,
absolutely.
As you said, gosh, like, you're as active as you can be, and you message right back, and I think that's incredible. But I want to leave this out with giving you an opportunity to really just say maybe a thing that is on your mind, or maybe some question I could ask you that you think I left out.
Well, you can always ask me anything. That's what I like about interviews, is I feel like pretty much an open book. So I like people to feel like there are no restrictions. Ask me anything. But I think if I can say anything that might be inspirational to anyone, for me, music has been very healing to me. I do vocal coaching sometimes with people, and I often tell them, the stage is the one place where no one can hurt you, and you can get lost in a song. But you don't have to be a performer to get lost in a song. You can lay down in your bed and you can, put your headphones on and listen to your favorite song, something that moves you, something that inspires you, something that can take you away temporarily from where you're at. I think is just incredibly healing and therapeutic. And some people like to read books and get lost in a book. It's important that you press pause sometimes on life and get lost in something that can just let you breathe for a minute and forget the stress and forget what's going on around you that might feel chaotic or overwhelming or, depressing or whatever. Just get lost in something. Sometimes people like to go for a hike and just sit and, breathe in the fresh air and just get lost. Find something that is healthy and therapeutic and press pause on life. And I think that we all need to do that. I have to do that because my life is going 90 miles an hour. So if I could say anything to anybody, I would encourage you to find out what that is that you love to do and just get lost in it and press pause. Turn your phone off. Don't receive calls or text messages and just get lost for just a few minutes a day. And I think it'll do you a world of good. It does me.
Oh, I love that so much. I mean, right now, like in this very moment, I hope that someone is getting lost in this podcast, getting lost.
Right, yeah.
Because you're so right. It's just like, we deserve that. We really do. And I mean, oh my gosh, if you're not getting lost in something, I think that's why all this clutter and all these anxious feelings can come up and come to surface. I can't thank you enough, Cherie, for coming on Scratch Your Own Itch, coming on this podcast and joining me with this conversation.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a true pleasure.
Yeah, it was. And I have a feeling this won't be the last time that we speak with each other. And I'm sure we'll talk again. And yes, please find her on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever main social media that you like to use. But yes, again, thank you so much. But until then, folks, I appreciate you. So please share this if you found it insightful, inspirational, influential. It takes a click of the finger, and it's weird when you do that stuff. It feels good. It gives you energy. So
yeah. Well, thank you. I do appreciate it so much. I'd love to be back anytime.
Oh, likewise. Oh, wow. You made it to the very end of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Scratch Your Own Itch with your host, Logan Tyler Nelson. To make it to the end, gosh, that doesn't happen very much nowadays. I mean, especially with the constant distraction. So I appreciate all of the efforts that you just took out of your day to make it to the end. And if you hit that subscribe button and leave a review, you would have no idea what that would mean to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to hit that subscribe button. And if you leave a review, check it out. just screenshot it, send it to me, and I'd love to host your review out on the show. But don't ever forget, like I say, you matter and you're enough.